welcome to Prime Business with me, Emma Davis. Let's settle for our stories. Economist Professor Lord Mensah has challenged claims by the Ministry of Finance that there could be serious economic complications if Ghana or if President Akufo Addo goes ahead to assent the Anti LGBTQ Bill into law. He contends the country will not risk losing support from the World Bank and other donors as there are no condition precedents on some of these engagements with donor partners. Speaking to Joy Business, Professor Mensah said it is about time the country signals its economic independence.
Take the short term, which is about the 3.8 billion that, the Minister of Finance is talking about we're going to lose. In their own document, they've given us a signal that if it does not go in that direction, or the president goes ahead to assent the bill, these are the economic costs. But then there are provisions to it. They've made room by telling us that, okay, we have to leverage on the Ghana Beyond Aid, right? And then we will mobilize revenue internally, enhance revenue mobilization, and then also prioritize our expenditure. And that will even save us more compared to, the $3.8 billion that we are looking for. Again, we need to appreciate that the long-term cost is going to be so high compared to, and it's a generational cost compared to this IMF 3.8 billion, the World Bank 3.8 billion together that we're talking about. They've also attributed, the assenting of that bill to, the IMF program. I can tell you that there's nowhere in the IMF program that LGBTQ is mentioned. But then, if we go ahead, the president goes ahead to assent it, and we're able to do our homework very well, look inwards, and then meet the IMF target, we'll still be enjoying the releases. And so, from where I sit, I don't think, the things they are mentioning will have much impact. You see, it's about time we signal our economic independence as a country. If we don't continue, how long have we been receiving this aid and grants and all those? And make reference to the 2024 budget. You will see that the grant support that we are receiving is just 0.3% of our GDP. That tells you that we can do without it. It's a matter of, reorganizing ourselves at the expenditure side of our budget. It should be able to work well. So I don't think, there's a cause for alarm. In fact, we have to respect ourselves, as Africans. And I will go all out to support the president to assent the bill.
Ghana's telecom industry is set for a shakeup as the National Communications Authority prepares to regulate how often mobile network operators can adjust their tariffs. This move comes specifically in response to the dominance of MTN Ghana, designated as a significant market power in 2020. The following report has more.
Ghana's telecom industry is set for a shake-up as the National Communications Authority prepares to regulate how often mobile money operators can adjust their tariffs. This move comes specifically in response to the dominance of MTN Ghana, designated as a significant market power in 2020. Traditionally, the NCA has allowed mobile money network operators to set their prices. However, MTN's market share exceeding 75% across voice, data, SMS, mobile money, and revenue has triggered intervention under Section 25 of the Electronic Communications Act, Act 775. This section empowers the NCA to regulate prices when a single dominant player engages in anti-competitive practices. The NCA has previously accused MTN of violating SMP rules by offering lower priced data bundles compared to competitors to ensure fair, reasonable, and non-exploitative pricing, particularly from significant market power or dominant operators.
Moving on, the government borrowed 24 billion cedis via Treasury Bills in February 2024, 29.3% higher than its target. This follows strong investor appetite and softening yield cuts. Here's more in this report. Investors submitted total bids worth 24.1 billion cedis, while accepted bids were valued at 24 billion cedis. This sustained the government's quest to build a buffer for future auction shortfall as indicated in the 2024 budget. Indeed, the government has exceeded its 2-month target cumulatively by 12.4 billion cedis. This puts it on course to meet its 2024 target buffer of 31.8 billion cedis. Meanwhile, yields fell sharply in February 2024 as the strong money market liquidity outweighed any upside risk from the unexpected uptick in the January 2024 inflation. The 91-day yield eased by 131 basis points month on month to 27.3%. The National Petroleum Authority says it is mindful about the impact of the increase in petroleum prices at the pumps on the economy, but says the increase in its margins is as a result of developments on the international market. According to the authority, it is concerned about the availability and efficient distribution of petroleum products on the market. Here is Head of Economic Regulation at the authority, Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti.
The MP is very mindful of the impact of price on the consumer. But we are also very mindful of the fact that the consumer needs to have access to the product. You see, if you don't have the product in the first place, then there's going to be a black market. You might end up even paying more than you are supposed to pay. So like I said, even though we are concerned about price, we are also concerned about ensuring that there's sufficient distribution of the petroleum products. And without the margins being set at the right rate, we will not be able to move the products and there will be shortages. And I'm not sure we would want to have a discussion about shortages because of the dire consequence that would lead to. You remember MP has in the past even reduced its margins before. If you take the bus margin, for example, the ministry directed us 2 years ago to reduce it from its level of 12 pesos 2 years ago, and it has remained that way until 16th February when it was restored to the 12 pesos. So we have, even before this increment last window, we reduced the margins. We reduced the UPF margin, for example, to 70 pesos before it was increased recently. So right. These margins are reduced when there's a need to reduce them, but we want to ensure availability of petroleum products.
Now, stakeholders within the horticulture sector are calling on the Ministry of Food and Agriculture for more sensitization programs for its farmers. According to Managing Director of Eden Tree Limited, Catherine Eduse, horticulture farmers lack knowledge and skills on the application of pesticides on their farms. She spoke to Joy Business at the launch of the Adenta Community Garden.
The horticulture sector in Ghana is growing fast and has great economic potential for young people to find a job or to become an entrepreneur. Meanwhile, the sector players say the education needs to be more practical and more close partnerships are needed with private sector in Ghana.
So one of the challenges is that there's not enough training for some farmers, and we have issues where farmers use more pesticides than necessary for their crops. This is not healthy for the nation. So this community garden is starting with schools. So this is where you teach them from when they are young so that they can take this up, grow with it, and be able to properly grow food safely for us. So this is taking care of that challenge.
Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Jaron Veyel, pledged more support to the sector.
The Netherlands is a country which is very strong in agriculture and mainly in horticulture. So growing vegetables and fruits is one of the strengths of the Dutch economy. And we have gathered a lot of experience and expertise in growing vegetables in very different circumstances. So, for example, what we are promoting is urban agriculture in urban areas, where you don't need a lot of space, but with the right agricultural practices, you can grow your own vegetables and tomatoes.
The horticulture players say a more comprehensive and integrated approach to horticulture is key to improve the sector. James Eshen's report for Joy Business.
On today's episode of Entrepreneur in You, here are some tricks one must have in mind whenever going for a job interview. Dr. Maxwell Ampon takes us through a few tricks.
Hello. In the ever-evolving landscape of the modern job market, job seekers find themselves facing various challenges. from deciphering cryptic interviewer questions to standing out in a sea of applicants. And before you say an employer does not know how it feels like, we are all hunting for something. You are hunting for a job, I'm hunting for a contract. There are universal experiences that we hunters share. So hunters like you and I have to share our insights, our strategies, and our experiences navigating this maze with authenticity and resilience. For instance, every interviewer at some point encounters a bizarre question or experience that leaves them bewildered. Like, if you were an animal, what would you be? How has that got to do with my professional experience? But the scenario is not too far-fetched, is it? Recognizing that these experiences are not unique to you, but rather a shared aspect of the modern job search, can offer a sense of solidarity and comfort. It's still challenging to play a game without knowing all the rules. And it still helps to remember that you are not playing this game alone. Interviews can often feel like a stage where candidates have to perform. This performativity stems from trying to get the answers right, which in reality, aside your professional achievements, is highly subjective. The key to navigating this aspect of job seeking is to embrace authenticity. Honest responses not only set you apart, but also ensures a mutual fit between you and your potential employer. Because you have to remember that the goal is to find a position where you can truly thrive and where you can truly fit in. We have also all experienced or heard of those interview questions that leaves you questioning the interviewer's sanity. Like recently, a friend of mine was asked by an interviewer, "Can you rate me from 1 to 10? Insane, right? These questions can throw you off balance, but the trick is to respond with grace and, where appropriate, the touch of humor. These questions offer an opportunity to practice how you handle unexpected situations. So take them in stride, because you cannot control the interviewer, but you can control your narrative. An interview is as much an opportunity for you to evaluate your employer as much as it is an opportunity for your employer to evaluate you. So pay attention during the interview process. High pressure tactics, disrespectful questions, or a lack of transparency are all red flags. Try to keep in mind that if this is what they will do when they are hiring you, imagine how they'll treat you when they are paying you. So let's keep sharing. Keep well.
Brought to you by Africa School of Entrepreneurship.
I hope those tricks were helpful. That's all for tonight on Prime Business with me, Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I leave you with international business.